You know, Election Day is 1 week from tomorrow, November the 8th. The first week of early voting is now complete, and we're seeing Texans really get out to the polls.
The numbers are in, and we're looking closely to see how voter turnout in Central Texas compares to past midterm elections. KVUE's Natalie Haddad joins us live in the studio. Natalie, we can't wait to see these numbers.
You know, I was a little bit surprised by these numbers, but some experts tell me that I really shouldn't be. So the 2022 gubernatorial race is a competitive one this election cycle. We all know this. Gubernatorial candidate Beto O'Rourke and Governor Greg Abbott are now engaged in fierce efforts to get their supporters to the polls, both having statewide get out the vote operations underway, including here in Austin. But is it working? So turnout during midterms is usually much lower than during presidential elections. However, turnout for the midterms in 2018 was an exception, with 53% of registered voters showing up to the polls. That leaves us wondering if we could expect the same this time around. Well, so far in the first week of early voting in 2022, numbers are lagging behind 2018. So why the low numbers, and what might we expect by the time the second week of early voting ends? We asked the research director of the Texas Politics Project at the University of Texas in Austin, Joshua Blank. He says to be cautious on making any assumptions by current voter turnout numbers. Blank also says this could be Texas returning to normal after several heated prior elections. Here's what he meant by that.
Even during the last two election cycles, when Texas touted its much higher than usual turnout, Texas was still at the bottom compared to most states. And so when we talk about a return to normalcy in Texas, we're talking about a return to a low turnout electorate that will rank at or near the bottom of most states.
All right, now let's take a look at Travis County. There are 100,000 more registered voters in 2022 than there were in 2018. But comparing week one of early voting in both election cycles, almost 50,000 more voters voted by now in 2018. So now over in Williamson County, a big jump in registered voters this time around as well. But by the end of week one of early voting in 2018, nearly 105,000 people had voted. And in 2022, we've only seen 89,000 so far. Now shifting to Hays County now, another jump in registered voters. And this time, the number of early voters at the end of week one, are a little more comparable here. By the end of early voting in week one in 2018, more than 37,000 ballots had been submitted. And this year so far, only 36,000 about. So over at KVUE.com, we have early voting information, including where you can go vote and what you'll need when you go vote and what to expect when you go vote. Now, the last day of early voting is November 4th. That is this Friday.